Hello, hello, Helena and Kelly here. How are you? What is the buzz? What's the buzz in our business? Welcome, welcome for those of you for whom this is a first time. And for those of you who are watching, who've been part of our Connection Hub, welcome to you too. It is all about books. This week. That's the buzz in our business. It's World Book Day on Thursday. I don't know whether you knew that, but it's World Book Day, and of course around about the conversations that we've been having in the Connection Hub, it's been a lot about books. Partly because two of our connectors have actually managed to do some really good things in there. So what we'd love to do is invite you into the Connection Hub if you haven't. We'll pop the link sort of below in the comments afterwards. And in the meanwhile, just tell you a little bit about the buzz in our business. Hello, hello. I'm off to do a talk at a thing called Authorcraft tonight. It's an in-person group set up for all the authors around, set up by our wonderful publishing friend Chris Day. So I'm going to be sharing one of the frameworks that we use with speakers, authors and coaches to really kind of set their business up in the right way. But some of the other buzz in the business is that Michelle got her book into the W.H. Smith's business chart.
Awesome.
So impressive. And Allison Porter got some feedback from her book, from Hay House, that her book is going to be the, wait for it, the go-to book for anyone with breast cancer. And that is a massive well done as well. Some really good affirmation there for her and indeed for both of them. So what we really want to do is on the back of a post that Michelle actually put inside the group around what category should her book be in on Amazon, that sort of sparked a whole set of thinking and a whole set of conversation. And so given that Kelly has obviously got a background in publishing and she's done some really great bestseller campaigns for quite a few people, we thought we'd make the focus of this particular Facebook Live exactly that. So before I hand it over to her, where are you at with your book? Is it done? Are you doing one? Are you thinking about it? What's the name of it? Put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear sort of from you. So
we want to know what the buzz about your book is.
The
right?
buzz about your book, you see. Right, I'm going to hand it over to you and just check if there's any kind of comments coming through.
No worries. So, as Helena said, we want to cover just some tips and tactics really around strategies about getting your book a bestseller. There are so many different categories and bestseller titles. You can be an Amazon bestseller, Sunday Times bestseller, New York Times bestseller, all these different types of bestseller, and they all come with different strategies, but they all require a strategy. So I'm going to take two of the top ones today, an Amazon one and a Sunday Times one, because they are very different, and get you thinking about some of the things you need to consider in order to hit that top spot. Because they do require different strategies, right? The thing we want to think of before we even go into tactics is, why is it good to have a bestseller status in your bio, on your website, for that credibility? What's the reason that it will good for you to be positioned to be a best-selling author?
And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because of course what it's really about is you connecting through to you so that you can actually use your book for the purpose that you want it for. So I'm always going to go back to what's the intention behind having it. So three of the intentions which we want to share with you, and you might have a different intention, so don't make that kind of the end all and be all. Mine doesn't fit in that box, because that's not what we talk about. It's on your terms, right? So one of the first things about that is the status of having a book. As soon as you actually have a book, as soon as you put what you do, what you have, what you know into a book format, it really will kind of elevate you to the expert status. So that might mean that you decide to do some self-publishing, because actually it becomes easy for you to share what you know and what you actually have that sort of works for you. That will raise its bestseller status, will obviously raise its significance so that you are more on the radar for everybody else. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a little bit like I'm doing tonight. I'm off to do a talk that actually allows me to promote and share the Connection Hub, share the speaker insight message in that way. Having a book can actually increase not only your status, but also increase your fees and your demand, because actually more people know about you. And in fact, actually...
so your fees as a speaker, right?
Your speaking fees. Yes, your speaking fees indeed. So in fact, interestingly, one of the people that I know, Beatrix Schmidt, I didn't tell you about this. So Beatrix actually got, on the back of her book, The Sleep Deep Method, she actually got invited through to a radio program, and literally it just went from there. So, you know, there's all sorts of things that can happen with that. And of course, that leads me into the PR piece. It's a credibility piece that you can add all sorts of arms to your business. You know, where else can you be seen so that you and your business are actually on the map? So there are all sorts of reasons why you would have a book and why you would want to make it a bestseller. So I'm going to hand it over to her because she knows how to do it, and I'm just going to learn.
You know already.
I know.
so let's take the Amazon one. I said I'm going to take the two of Amazon and Sunday Times because they are very different. So, and say hi to everyone that's joining. I don't do that stuff.
I know. I do the saying hello pieces, and she does the talking about things. You know, left brain, right brain, that's how it goes.
So even in Amazon, whether you're .amazon.co.uk or .com, there are even different best-selling categories within Amazon itself. You can be a Kindle bestseller, you can be a bestseller in a category, so like health, or even a subcategory of health, and you can be a bestseller on the whole overarching in books. So all of them depend on how many books you've actually sold, and that's one of the things that we need to be working on, is actually a strategy about selling the most books possible. One of the things about the Amazon campaign is that they don't tell you when you've actually hit the #1 spot in any of those types of things. So you need to be looking eyes on it, because they update their status every 10 minutes or so. They refresh their numbers. So you need to be on Amazon on the day that you're hoping to go for a bestseller and be refreshing your screen, and then when you do hit the top spots, you take a screenshot of that, because you need proof that you've actually made that bestseller status. So that's one of the different things. If you'd hit another bestselling status like Sunday Times, obviously you're going to know about it, but with Amazon you have to work it out for yourself and get evidence for it for yourself. So here's some of the things to consider, because one of the things I get asked all the time is, how many books will I need to sell in order to hit a bestseller?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, how long is a piece of string? If you're going to go for Amazon bestseller status, it's a lot less than it would be for Sunday Times. And for the people that I've run bestseller campaigns from, people have hit that #1 spot in their categories by selling just a few hundred books, and some of them a few thousand. The thing to consider, and this is what Michelle was asking us in the group this week, is the category that you actually log your book in Amazon, of actually to see how much competition is currently in that category. So that's something which is down to you to do the research. When you put your book on Amazon, or your publisher does, is what category is it going to be listed under. Now, for an example, I know Alison's on the call, so looking at Alison's example, her book's about breast cancer, right? So she could choose the category, the overarching category of health. Then she's got subcategories. Now, one of those subcategories is cancer, and then there's a subcategory underneath cancer of breast cancer, right? So logically, she fits there. And I did a bit of a look before this call, and actually in breast cancer, there's about 10,000 books that she's competing with. Because of the nature of her book, she could also go into health as a main category, and then alternative therapies as a subcategory. But if she looked at that one, there are 60,000 books in that category. So what makes sense? Her topic fits into both books, in both categories, so she could choose either. But to make logical sense for her to have the least competition in her category, she should choose breast cancer, because it's got 10,000 rather than 60,000. So, and some of the categories are they're like 400 books. So you need to look, one, it needs to be right. I couldn't put a breast cancer book in something to do with engineering, right? It's got to be relevant, but you need to look at the subcategories and see what's the most relevant and has the least competition. So that's your bit of research for today if you're looking to go for bestseller status.
Homework, you know we like to work you.
So that's my first top tip from the Amazon. The second one is plan one day that you want to sell the most books. So you have to do a marketing campaign around selling as many books as you can on one day. The reason is this is how you can knock people like Richard Branson off the top spot, because even though he might have sold more books overall,
Alison's thanking you
for
doing the research for her. You've done your homework.
You can tell Hay House tomorrow. But what you need to do in the fact of actually looking at where the other campaigns are, is actually saying, well, if Richard Branson has basically sold hundreds of thousands of books, how many has he actually sold that day? Right? And that's the difference, is that you can go to number one in the business charts because you've sold more than him that day or that hour or that 15-minute slot. And so that's why it's really important for you to actually focus your marketing campaign on an Amazon one to sell all your books as you can on one day. And one way that I've done it when I run campaigns for people is to get your joint ventures, your friends on board, people with your target market who are going to buy your book that it's relevant for, but also they've got a large database, they've got a large influence and reach. And what I've done for people is get a whole bunch of those people to put freebies of their own company, of their own product, into a marketing campaign, so anybody that buys the book on that day also gets the free ebook from this person, the free online course from this, so they get a whole bundle of goodies if they buy the book on that day. That helps you because they will then promote that to their reach, and it helps them because they're getting their business in front of people who are their ideal target market buying your book. So it's a win-win scenario, and it does take a while to logistics to set up, but that's a great way of actually getting your book publicised on one day, get the support, and give your clients a reason to buy on that day. Okay, so they're the top things I would say for the Amazon: is know your categories, know averagely how much you think you're going to have to sell in order to knock someone off the top spot. Work out what day is the day you want to go live for your marketing campaign, and then work out a strategy and marketing campaign with key people of influence and joint ventures to help promote that book on that day. The Sunday Times chart is a different kettle of fish, right? This is the big boys. So you basically can't go into a Sunday Times bestseller with a self-published or a hybrid published book, because the reason why is that they take their stats, the sales stats from Nelson, and Nelson only work with traditional publishers. So that, unfortunately, that's the unfortunate bit, which is why most people who are self-published or hybrid will only have to go for the bestseller campaign on an Amazon one. Now, Sunday Times, they normally have a 2 to 3 week window every month where you need to hit the sales for that period. And that changes every month. The dates aren't always the same. So it's really important that you have your conversation with your publisher as early as possible to find out when those dates are, that if you're getting published in May, which I think is when Michelle's going for, that what are the dates in May that Sunday Times are actually computing the sales from, so you can start planning that ahead. When people talk about sales for Sunday Times, minimum 5,000. I would be aiming for 10,000 sales, because 5,000 will pretty much get you in there, but it's not going to guarantee you a top spot. So that's the types of figures that I would be aiming for if you were going down that route. And the key to doing a Sunday Times bestseller, pre-orders, right? So your book's going to be on Amazon and in stores and stuff, and people will be able to buy it, but they won't be able to, they can pre-order it and pay for the money. And then the day that it gets published, the day that it's actually live to be published, is when that's going to start counting as sales. So if you can do a marketing campaign for pre-orders leading up to that period that they're actually calculating those 2 to 3 weeks, then that's where you can basically really work out, are you going to hit that top spot? So it's important. You still do the joint ventures and stuff, but it's much more, this game is more about PR. It's more about actually getting your stuff into the mainstream. Pre-orders is the key, so you need to be talking about that. And then the other thing, which again only your publishers and other publishers will know, is who else is publishing around about the same time as you, right? Because if you're just about to bring out a cookery book and Jamie Oliver's bringing one out in the same week, then good luck, right? You've got to basically work out, and it's never a great time, there's always stuff, but talk to your publishers and work out. They'll know, they'll be looking at when they're going to launch you to see competition wise, but make sure that they know about the bestseller stuff. It's really important that they want to know that if you're even going to go for that, because publishers will help you with PR. When you first get published, that's part of their job. But I would say for both campaigns, it's on you, right? You've got to take the responsibility for the marketing. You've got to work out the strategy. The publishers will obviously be there to support you, but really you're the one that's got the brand, the business, the contacts, the know-how. You're the one that needs to rock up and show up. So think about which is the best one you want to go for. You obviously get much more credibility from a Sunday Times bestseller than you would do at Amazon. And the reason why I say for bestseller status for people is that because of hybrid and self-publishing, anyone can have a book these days, right?
It's true.
So if you just add that little credibility bit to say it was a best-selling book, at least we know the book is in demand, because it's not just something you've published and you've done it all and it's all glory, self-glory. It's actually, no, people want this. So that's one of the things that I think helps differentiate you by just having a book. Well, you've got a best-selling book, which means that people actually want to buy it. But which is the right bestseller status for you? As Helena said earlier about the positioning, you've got to think about the effort, the rewards, the time.
And actually, again, I'm always going to come back to, you know, the intention behind it. So if your intention is to, I don't know, reach 10,000 people in your local area, that might guide you towards, do I do one type of publishing or the other type of publishing? And actually that allows you to then go, okay, well, what is my work it back point? You know, if I want to launch on this day, whether that is, you know, the very traditional Sunday Times version or whether it's the Amazon bestseller, you start to work it back. You set yourself, you know, kind of the flag in the sand, and you go, this is the date on which I'm launching. What can I do? Who can I speak to? Who do I need to actually have on my team that allows me to do that? That might be reaching out to local journalists. That might be getting on the radar of the radio stations that are in your area.
And we've got Emma online. So Emma is like,
she's actually said.
So she's the queen of PR, right, Emma? So if you want to work with someone like Emma and do PR, we know that like magazines and stuff have their publishing dates like 3 months beforehand. So there's no point leaving it to the last minute thinking, oh, I'm going to do a campaign for May, and you're thinking about it now in the beginning of March. You're too late to hit magazines. So all this stuff, as Helena says, needs to be reversed engineered and working with your publisher or with your marketing team, whoever it is, to actually put that strategy into place.
Yeah, and you know, it may also be that you need the right connections. So I'm going to go, you know, bearing in mind that we are, you know, our group is the connection hub, you need the right connections to do that. So as well as looking at the strategy that you want to play with, for those of you that have written a book and you want to get it in there, we really do encourage you. For those of you that haven't seen it, Lucy actually gave us 50% discounted ticket to the Business Book Awards, which is just so exciting. It looks really like it's going to be an amazing thing. It allows you to share. Exactly. It allows you to share strategies, learn from other people, and simply meet people and hear what they're up to, so that you can hear what the buzz is in their business and kind of borrow from, oh, that would work for me, particularly with how you might actually want to stand out. How do you make yours a standout feature that allows you to actually be seen, you know, to be seen and heard talking about your book? So we'll put the link again, if you hadn't heard, we'll put the link in the comments below for that as well, because it's on the 16th of March. So just 16th of March. Just for those of you who are going, oh, when is it?
So
that sounds exciting.
But we'll also put the 50% code in. Please do not share that code outside of this group. She's giving it exclusively to us.
So that's inside the group.
So just don't share the code out. You can use it in here. And I think that's another thing, right? So awards is another way of actually positioning yourself. If you've won a business book award, which is what this is all about, then that not just shows that, you know, it's another thing like the bestseller status. It's showing that you've got credibility. It's showing that actually you're an expert. You've got something which people are actually saying, this is awesome, this is standout, check this out. So not only at this event will you meet other publishers, meet people in the publishing industry, meet other authors, but if you've got a business book, then maybe you could go and get your books nominated for next year's awards. So it's a great place for networking, and it's in a very lovely hotel. And I know that some people were talking about on the post getting a table together and doing all that sort of stuff. So just keep the conversation going in the Connection Hub. It'll be a great networking evening for you.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think the other thing I'd just say is that with bestsellers, if you're a published author, then you want to do your bestseller campaign on your date that you're going to be published. However, if you've already published your book, there is no reason why you can't do an Amazon bestseller campaign even years after you've published, right? It's just reviving that marketing campaign. So don't feel like you've missed the boat, that your book was published a year or two ago and you haven't done that status. You just need to get the buzz around the book again, hype it back up, and then work out the strategy for the one day to go live on the Amazon, right?
Yeah. Brett's a bit sad he can't go. He sounded like he was really excited, but he's doing a training on it. So sorry, Brett.
So just have a think about that, guys. Think about, is Amazon the best one for me? Is Sunday Times the best one for me? What do I need to work out? Who do I need to be connected to? What's the strategy? How do I reverse engineer that? And work out what's the reason why you're doing it. Don't just do it because you think it sounds good. We do building a business on your terms, right? It has to serve you. Don't just do it because someone's told you to do it. Work out the strategy of having that status, having that in your bio, in your description. What's that going to bring you? And
what's going to work for you as well? Does it work right now to actually do it, or does it work to hold off? So there's something about the timing of what you actually do. Kelly mentioned, who else is publishing when you are, but there's also something about, are you actually ready for it? Do you need to do something that allows you to actually step into the limelight of being a best-selling author? For some of you, that might actually be a sticky point. And I'm always going to come at it from the, what might you need to do on the inside in order to catch up with what you want on the outside? For more on that, come and join us in the group. There's some really, really good things going on. And I have to share with you, there's a beautiful little conversation going on in the comments at the moment around book titles. And that's always a good thing to kind of share and get feedback on. Allison suggested for Emma, 6 Degrees of Publicity.
Oh, awesome. Allison, you're nailing it with book titles recently in the group. You should have
So anyway, so that's really our piece for you. I'm pretty certain that there's a lot of nuggets in there that you might need to go and look back on. So come and join in the conversation. The Connection Hub is where you want to go. We'll pop the link in below, and really we'll leave you to it until next week.
Have fun, guys.
Take care.